Okay, let's deal with the unsatisfactory nature. That, as I understand it, the essential one is that although you may know you need to jump, you might jump in the wrong direction. So, I mean, for argument's sake, the man who was intensely patriotic and sees the mayhem of what patriotism results in war may jump to saying he should be a pacifist, like the Quakers were, and I gather they still are. Now, does that mean you got it right? No, not necessarily. You just know that you had it wrong before. And you might find that pacifism in the face of someone who simply wants your country is not the best answer. So you're back to war. You know, I'm not saying that you can see the way out. In that particular one, I can't, in that I think war may be inevitable. Well, no, there is another alternative set of values, isn't it, which simply accepts. You know, I have a set of values where I'm not going to resist evil, and I live accordingly. And if life is short, and even if my loved ones die, I hold firm on that value system until I can't. Well, of course, if I'm wiped out, then the issue doesn't arise. If I'm not wiped out, the problem may not arise. If it does and I start to lose my loved ones, but I'm still alive, I think you'd probably go to war and, well, the end result in terms of this world is always that you die, of course. I mean, even though it might be of old age at the ripe old, the ripe old age at that, but look, I'm not saying there are certainties. I think that is what is always the case. But there are some ways that are better than others. To say I found a way that for certain avoids all uncertainties and gives everything I would want, I think it's unlikely, because we're talking about this world. You know, in the world you will at the very least have tribulation. Not everything's going to fit. It's not meant to, because the whole point about this world is that it always leaves a measure of uncertainty, unless it doesn't and you find a certainty. Wow, jolly good. And if there is one, you're more likely to find it with this flexibility of your values adjusting to your experience. I mean, unless you're reckless in your adjustment, of course. See, there's always uncertainty, isn't there? Let me pause. I think I have it, although I should say I think I may have it. And that is that if you practice thankfulness in whatever system of values you have, there seems to be a great tendency to move in the right direction. I think you're open to flexibility, and you're open to possibly holding to values even when you're weathering difficulty, because the thankfulness weathers the difficulty to some extent. It may be that thankfulness gives you a sort of middle way that is not perfect but optimal. And really it's only optimality that we hope to achieve in a world of uncertainty. I think what I'm saying is that I'm implying is that this universe has another feature about it, not just that nothing seems to be certain, but there are inconsistencies here, else it would be heaven. That the inconsistencies are an inherent necessity of this universe to be an effective classroom, school. It's a bit like the thesis that it's a place of both good and evil, and the evil has to be here, that you learn the consequence of such in some cases. Not all cases, of course, or you'd be overwhelmed, but I mean, there has to be a measure of evil here, albeit orchestrated by the master of the show. Perhaps, I assume. Or at least your exposure to it, which lessons you're learning. Equally, there may have to be a measure of contradiction, inconsistency here. Does seem to be what we experience in many ways. We have a theory, but it's inconsistent with some of the evidence. It's the inconsistency that steers us towards trying to find out a theory that covers such inconsistency, a better theory, you see. So the inconsistency itself is of value in the learning situation, whereas it might not be, I would understand, as in heaven. In heaven it's all consistent and wonderful. But here there are gaps in consistency, or inconsistencies, presented at least, that steer you into a creativity of understanding that somehow embraces at least more of the inconsistency, reduces it in effect. A bit like we're trying to reduce poverty, you know, we try to reduce inconsistency too in our understanding, else we don't have understanding. That's an interesting view. Thank you, Dad.